Hi friends, Shayla here. So today I'm here to do kind of a fun video. I've had my channel for 5 years. I've put it out there, threw out some questions, and so I thought you guys would like to get to know me. I've had a lot of growth with my channel recently, so a lot of you probably don't know me super well, so I thought it would be a really fun way for people to get to know me. So I put out the request for questions on Twitter as well as on Instagram. So we'll start with the Twitter questions because there aren't as many of those, and then we'll go over to Instagram where most of the questions came in from. So the first one here says, how did you get over feeling awkward about filming with your husband home or other people around in general, aka your car where people might still see you? So for me, I think once I got comfortable in front of the camera at all, I just started to ignore when other people were home. I mean, my husband's in the other room working right now, so I don't know how it happened other than I just kind of block it out and try to ignore it. There are some times where I'm not comfortable filming in front of when my husband's home still, so I still primarily try to film when no one's home. But sometimes that's unavoidable and I just go with it anyway and film. So it's just a matter of finding whatever will make you comfortable, whether it's asking your partner or whoever else is in the house to be on another floor of the house, shut up in a room, doesn't matter. It's just finding your comfort level with it and going from there. The next question is, top 5 men that fuel your soul in manga. I need to know for science. Well, that's really interesting. I haven't even thought about it. So I'll just tell you my favorite male leads. I wouldn't say I thirst after all of them because some of them are teenagers, but these are my favorite male leads. So first up, I gotta go with Asahi from Haikyuu. I love Asahi's character. I love his character arc. I love his character design. He looks like a grown man. That's probably why I'm drawn to him. And I love his, big burly guy, tender soul. That's a thing that I get along with. Shut up, peanut gallery. My husband's commenting on the man bun that Asahi has. I don't care if he has a man bun. Asahi's great. The next one would probably be, why did his name just leave me? The guy in Sweat and Soap. What's his name? I can't remember, but I'll put his little character design here. He's adorable. My copies are out on loan, so I love him. He is a solid dude, kind of oblivious and a little quirky, but man, I really love him. There's so many. I'm trying to be super selective. From Fruits Basket, it has to be Kyo. Kyo forever. So there's 3. And then I love Zen from Snow White with the Red Hair. That's 4. And then it's got to be Sheena from Yona of the Dawn. He's the best dragon, best boy. I love him so very much. So it would be those 5. The next question is, what was the biggest struggle starting out? Also, what manga do you wish? Okay, so there's 2 questions on here. So, biggest struggle starting out. For me, it was just the nerves of whether anybody would care to watch. I did start out primarily as a book channel, and manga just kind of organically happened. A lot of my growth and a lot of my followership now is here for the manga. So I still kind of live in this weird place. So it's just kind of, I think my biggest struggle still with my channel is figuring out what space I love the most, because I love them both so much, which is part of why I named the channel what I did, Shay Geeks Out, so I can be geeking out about whatever is filling my soul at the time. Right now, it's romance and manga, and not everybody signed up for that content, so I've lost some subscribers, but I've gained a ton as well, and I think that was my biggest struggle. The second question on this one was, what manga would you wish a deluxe reprint for and what might that format look like? Okay, Red River, all day long, every day. I've read the first 10 volumes of Red River digitally, legally as well. I bought all 10 volumes legally. And then in the format of, the Rose of Versailles, these beautiful hardbacks with color pages, and they're even textured like this. Give me Red River like this. Pretty, please. And the next question is, if you could go back and change one thing about your channel, what would you do? Also, do you have an all-time favorite read? Honestly, I don't think I would change anything about my channel. My channel would not be what it is without those early days. So I wish I would have spoken a little louder maybe, but when it comes to my setup and everything, yeah, it was kind of dark and janky and stuff, and I've since figured all of that out, but my channel would not be what it was without those experiences, so no. I'm typically somebody who doesn't regret things in life or want to change my past because I would not be who I am without those things. So, all-time favorite read, book-wise, that's going to be Warbreaker by Brandon Sanderson. Manga-wise, that changes daily, so I cannot answer that for manga. The most solid answer on that is probably Yona of the Dawn or Requiem of the Rose King. Those two. If you're going to read anything off my shelves, read those two. Let's see. Next, what were your original goals and reasons for making the channel? And how did that perspective on content creation change throughout your YouTube journey? I originally made a channel just because I wanted a hobby at the time. I wanted something to do, something that was creatively stimulating, and that I enjoyed. I was already reading a lot, and I initially started out with a beauty channel due to my career. We'll get to, I know there's a question on that later, so we'll get to that in a bit. That didn't make me happy at all. I hated that space a lot, actually. It's so toxic on so many levels. Not to say this community doesn't have its problems too, but after that, I just Googled like book reviews. Like I wasn't even sure if people were on YouTube talking about it. Then I found, you know, some of the top people that most people find first, Christina Riccio, Jessie the Reader, Catty-tastic, Reagan from Peruse Project. Those are kind of some of the first ones that most people find. And Sasha over at Sasha Alsberg. I think it was, her channel was called The Book Utopia, I think, and then she just changed it to her name. I don't know, it might still be a Book Utopia, I don't remember. But anyways, a lot of people find them first and then they kind of find other creators. I've since found the creators that I jive and get along with, and I follow them and pay a lot of attention to them. I think for me, I always just thought this would be a hobby. And now it's just something I'm so passionate about, and I think about it a lot. I spend a lot more time thinking about content creation and all that kind of stuff now than I originally ever thought I would. So this is really fun. I really love it. And I think I would love to talk more about anime. I tried talking about anime early on and it wasn't received very well. So I think I need to come back and revisit that scenario. The next question is about my career. What's your favorite thing about cosmetology? So cosmetology is my career, which means I'm a hairdresser, for those of you who don't know the terminology. I like how creatively stimulating it is, and I like that I get to talk with and meet new people each time I go to work, whether it's a new client to me, new clients to my fellow stylists, but I get to meet new people all the time through that. And I really enjoy that camaraderie, though my physical body is getting to a point where I'm going to have to figure out something else because it just keeps hurting when I finish up at work. So I'm looking to switch things up a little bit that way. I am working a lot less than I was even last year. I did own a salon for 3.5 years. I'm no longer an owner by choice. Now I just rent a space and I really love it that way. And now people are talking about how they're so excited about my favorite things on Instagram, and I'm like living my best life. Pulling up all of the responses on Instagram. This one says, best manga you've read so far, except Haikyuu. And I wouldn't even say Haikyuu's the best manga I've read so far. It's a fun one, and I love it, and I'm so glad to have it physically because I will revisit it. But I wouldn't say that's the best one I've read. Strictly artistically, it's gotta be Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind. Story-wise, oh god, honestly, probably Sacrificial Princess and the King of Beasts. That one is so underrated. Like, you guys don't even know how good it is unless you've read it. And the second those volumes come out, I get my hands on it. I devour it. Like, literally, as soon as I'm home from purchasing it or it shows up in the mail if I've ordered it, like, I sit down and I read it. I drop everything and I just do that. That's how much I love that story. It's 10 volumes in so far in the US, and I absolutely love it. What would you suggest to someone who's never read manga before? I like cutesy stuff, like this whole shelf. When it comes to cutesy things, you gotta decide if you want to go fantasy or if you want to go contemporary. And cutesy, you're gonna want to stay like in the shoujo space typically. That's usually gonna be really cute, really sweet things. There is some seinen that kind of goes that route. So a couple off the top of my head would be BL Metamorphosis. It's a really sweet story about female friendship. Honey So Sweet. It is the purest shoujo love story. And then we have My Love Story, which is equally pure and sweet. So probably those three, if you like really cutesy things, those are three great ones to start with. How and when did you decide to start a channel? Also, do you read every book that you recommend? So I decided to start my channel. I kind of already answered that, but it was 5 years ago, looking for a hobby, a way to channel some of my time. And of course I read every book I recommend. I wouldn't recommend it if I haven't read it. Occasionally with a manga series, if I know it's one that I won't get along with, but all of my friends enjoy it, like some of the like more thrillery, horror-y kind of things, I can recommend creators for people to go check out and say they generally like these, but I never call it my recommendation. Like I will say this person recommends it or this person really loves it, but that's never a true recommendation from me because I'm not going to recommend something that I wouldn't have on my shelf. That's just how I feel about that. And I wouldn't have something on these shelves unless I've read it. Congratulations on 5 years. What has been your favorite book so far of 2020? Well, I kind of read 2 of them this week. They were anticipated releases that I just was really excited about and I loved, and that is Well Played by Jen DeLuca. It does have a catfishing element, so it's not going to be a story for everybody. Tools of Engagement by Tessa Bailey. Love the dynamic. It has single parent romance. It has enemies to lovers. It has so many elements to this romance that I absolutely love and adore. So I love both of these. They're coming out later this month, so I would recommend checking them out. Another favorite from this year has been, I have so many. I pick out a favorite every month. Probably another one that I read fairly recently would be Dark Song by Christine Feehan. That was my favorite read for August. It's a great paranormal romance that deals with like PTSD and how relationships can look one way to one person and look different to another. Anticipated releases for later in the year. The biggest one's going to be Rhythm of War by Brandon Sanderson. That's definitely the biggest release I'm looking forward to in the latter half of the year. Also, A Deadly Education by Naomi Novik. That comes out later this month. I've been looking for a new Naomi Novik for 1.5 years, so I'm really excited about that one. What is your hardest video to make and why? That's going to be the releases on my radar video. They are just very time consuming. They take a lot of research. So I do 2 to 3 hours of research on those before I even film every month. And then the editing process, filming it takes anywhere from 10 minutes to a half an hour, depending on how many titles there are. And then there's the editing process where I have to put in each cover because I typically don't have those on hand. Occasionally I will, but not normally. And so they're the most time consuming and the hardest for me to do, but I absolutely love them. Otherwise I wouldn't do them. What's my favorite video? I'm actually really proud of my library makeover vlog. That's one of my favorites. That's when I built all these shelves and did my initial organization on them. So I will leave that linked in the cards for you guys to check out if you haven't. That's probably the video I'm the most proud of because I'm proud of building these shelves. I'm proud of the layout of my library. Like, there's just a lot to be proud about in that one for me. When did you see a growth the most in your channel? I feel like right now my channel is growing the most. It is one of those things where once the manga community really found me, I've had pretty steady growth. But since the pandemic started, that growth has increased even more. And so I'm hitting this stride with my channel where I'm getting a lot of growth right now. And I'm grateful to each and every one of you that comes to check out my channel. And it just makes my heart happy that you're even here and that you care what I have to say. What is my favorite color? That would be pale yellow. I'll try to put a swatch of my favorite shade of yellow right here, but it's just kind of that pale pastel, almost baby yellow, but not quite, a little more muted. It's light, it's bright, it warms my soul. That is why I love this color. What are some good older manga recommendations? The Rose of Versailles is an older title that's getting reprinted right now. Absolutely love it. An older title that I read recently that I don't physically own, I borrowed from a friend, is High School Debut. If you want more on that, you can check out my most recent wrap-up. Dengeki Daisy is an older title that I love. Dawn of the Arcana is an older title that I love. The Poe Clan is an old classic title that got reprinted last year, at least the first volume of it, and I loved that. Does that give you some suggestions of older titles? What's your all-time favorite Bangtan song, which is my favorite BTS song? I love Dynamite, but I think On is my favorite right now. It changes all the time. On, Save Me, and Microcosmos are my top 3, with Dynamite a very close fourth. What got you into reading manga / romance? Well, I read romance on and off since I was a teenager. Getting back into romance was just finally letting go of people's expectations of me and just reading what made me happy. That's it, plain and simple. When it comes to manga, I was always kind of curious about manga. And then I was watching anime and I decided I wanted to try a volume of manga to see if I liked the format. So I bought the first volume of Fairy Tail. And I don't even own Fairy Tail on my shelves anymore, as you can see. I fell in love with the format, started to explore it, and found what I loved in manga. And that's primarily what you see on my shelves, which are romance-centered manga titles. I love romance in manga. It's really fun. It's really witty. I just have a great time with it. I've answered that one. What was the reason or reasons you started a channel? What's been the hardest thing about being a manga tuber? What's the most rewarding? So the hardest thing has been that I don't feel like a true manga tuber because I don't exclusively do manga content. I do manga, I do bullet journals, I do books, I do a lot of things on this channel. I open K-pop CDs, all that kind of stuff. So this is just my geeky space, so I don't truly feel like a manga tuber, I don't truly feel like a booktuber, I don't truly feel like a planner person. I kind of play in a bunch of different sandboxes. So I think that's the hardest thing for me, is not feeling like I have a centered place. And then my favorite thing is just getting to know all of you. More and more I'm getting to know my subscribership, and I look forward to seeing people when I premiere videos and all those kinds of things. Like, I really just love getting to know all of you. And this last one will be a really fun one. And it's, who is the best son? Love you, Mom. That's from Prate Waitier. Prate's just really young. I'm 35, and I literally could have given birth to him. So it's one of those things where we just have this ongoing joke that I'm his mom, he's my son, and that's just what we do. So with that, thank you guys so much for checking out this video. Thank you for 5 years. Thank you for all of my subscribers. All of my links to all of my socials are always linked down below, so feel free to check that out. There are also some ways you can support the channel down there if you're interested in doing so. Just being here and watching the video is enough in my opinion, but if you wanted to do more, there are options for you down below. So thank you again for watching. I love you all. Hopefully here's to another 5 years. I'll see you next time. Bye.